Welcome to Giants Nation. I'm your host, Bobby Skinner, here with my co-host of Football Grump. And we got ourselves a jam-packed, a Pam-jacked episode, baby. Uh, we have a mock draft with Bengal, Big Game Bengal, full mock draft, Giants, 7-round mock draft with him. We've got a running back preview. But first, we are going to give you a 45-minute sentence-by-sentence breakdown of Joe Schoen's press conference. Grump, how are you?
I'm doing great. So much stuff to talk about. Important press conference, important answers and things from Joe Schoen today. We're talking running backs today. We got a mock draft. So much stuff. I don't want to yap too much. Let's get into it.
Yeah, you why don't you quit yapping over there, buddy? No, we're actually not going to do the press conference. Number one, because we have so much on this episode, so I just did a live stream talking about it, and anything else we'll cover on Breaking Big Blue, which is in the past when you're listening to this. Also, it is the most useless press conference of Joe Schoen, right? Like head coaching press conferences are largely useless. So, but the GM was everyone feels big except for this one because it's the pre-draft, so they're not going to say anything about any players in the draft. They're not going to rule out anything in the draft. I like the only thing that was just like the Dexter Lawrence thing, and then they asked one question about that, and that was that. So, and then it's like even though there's things that I see in it that I just disagree with Joe Schoen, where I was like, I just hate your thinking on that. It's like what? It's a press conference. Let me be mad at the results and not the stupid justification of crap. All right, so let's get into this mock draft with Big Game Bengal. First, this episode was brought. Actually, we're gonna have to say that because this episode was brought to you by SeatGeek, and I am so excited to see the New York Giants with John Harbaugh next year. I'm hoping to go to the Titans game. The NFL schedule. You should just start coming out early. Let us make our plans. I'm excited to see the Orlando Magic make in the playoffs as long as they can win the play-in. In fact, I would like to get to go to one of those. So last in the playoffs till after the draft, so I can make it to an Orlando Magic playoff game. So today I want to talk to you about SeatGeek. And I want to give them a huge shout out. With over 35 million downloads, SeatGeek is the #1 rated ticketing app. There are more than 70,000 events listed on SeatGeek, including concerts, sports, festivals, and more. MLB just started, and NBA and NHL playoffs are here now. The NFL schedule is coming out soon, and you can get World Cup tickets on SeatGeek. Are you going to any playoff games?
Yeah, not playoff games. I'm not going to be able to afford the World Cup, but I did get tickets to an MLS game to celebrate post-draft relaxation. So, Mrs. and I are going to walk on down to Bank of America Stadium and see Charlotte FC versus NYC FC in May. And I use SeatGeek to get the tickets.
Are you going to watch any Canes hockey?
That's in Raleigh. It's too far. I'm not driving to the other side of North Carolina.
What is it, 2 hours?
I think it's more than that.
Oh.
I think it's like 3.5. I'm not doing that.
Oh, this is and SeatGeek, we're gonna get back to the SeatGeek part of this, but this is what makes a good ad. It's like you got to listen to it. You said you got a bunch of butcher stuff. Did you get a bunch of meat or stuff to cook meat with?
No, I just got a bunch of meat. I went to the butcher and just got meat.
Oh, okay. Because I was like, all right, I'm excited to see your tools when I get to Charlotte.
I mean, I have stuff. I have tools and stuff. You can still see.
Well, I was just I thought it was I didn't know because I'm not expecting you to hold on to that meat for over a month. Smoking meats. Shout out our guy. But anyways, playoffs. Go to the playoffs game. Don't be like Grump. Travel to damn Raleigh. Go to a Canes hockey. Go watch the Islanders. Islanders are in the playoffs, right?
No, I think all three New Jersey teams are out of the playoffs for like the first time in like 11 years or something like that.
Gross. SeatGeek has your back, though. Each ticket is rated on a scale of 1 to 10, so you know you're getting a good deal. So look for the green dots. Green means good, red means bad. You guys know it's exactly like traffic. Plus, every ticket is backed by their buyer guarantee. And of course, I have a code for you guys. You can use code Bobby 2026 for 10% off your next set of tickets at SeatGeek. That's 10% off any tickets with promo code Bobby 2026. Make sure you click the link in the description to download the app and have the code automatically added to your account so you can use it later. Thank you, SeatGeek. You'll be glad you did. And here is Big Game Bengal. All right, we now welcome back onto the show, Big Game Bengal. I think we didn't have you on in the season, so we had a nice off season, talked about Jackson Dart, all that good stuff, and then had another terrible season, and now we're back to our favorite time of year, the draft. what's your hope level with the Giants with John Harbaugh now?
It's so interesting because one of my best buddies is a Ravens fan, and he's been complaining about John Harbaugh for years at this point. But I think John Harbaugh is somewhere in between how the Ravens fans view about him, which is, man, we need a change so badly, and how some in the media view him, which is, oh my goodness, this is the savior of the Giants. I think he's somewhere in the middle, where he absolutely, I believe, raises the floor of the Giants. And I'll tell you, it's been so bad. Obviously, we all know for the last decade or so. If the Giants' floor can be raised from 4 to 6 wins to 8, I'll take it at this point. And I think you do have the back door into the playoffs. And if you get, a few years of building something, can the Giants be back in the playoffs? Absolutely. The roster to me now gives me a little bit of hope because there is so much talent at certain spots. And I think Harbaugh hopefully can maximize some of these other guys because he's not a play caller. He's the culture builder and makes good hires typically, maybe not with the recent defensive coordinator in Baltimore. But other than that, typically he makes good hires and that elevates everybody. It elevates the organization. If you can just instill a belief and get the organization moving the right way, I am more confident than I have been. I'll say that.
Because we've only been to the playoff twice in the last 10 years, and both those even felt a little bit fluky, I think we've forgotten how low of a bar a playoff roster is in the NFL, especially after they added a 7th team. So now half the league gets in. So that's where I'm at, where it's like, yeah, I'm not going to say my prediction is playoffs, but that's my expectation. This formula should lead to playoffs at minimum. A 5th-year GM, 2nd-year head coach, 1st-year head coach who has experience. Like, tell me what is missing.
Are you saying playoffs this year is your expectation or in the Harbaugh era?
It's not my prediction. It's my expectation for year one.
Okay.
Or else somebody from that 3-part combo has to go. But my hope is back up. The Giants created a fan base that lives off of hope because we won 2 Super Bowls where we weren't expected. So it's like, all right, we are the hope fan base because there's always hope. As long as Eli was playing quarterback for me, I had hope no matter how bad it looked. And then over the last 5 or 6 years, they've just ripped hope out of your heart. And so now then they pull you back in with one John Harbaugh and Jackson Dart additions. But we're doing a 7-round mock draft. So I'm excited about that. I've seen, I do a lot of draft stuff and I throw your guys' mock drafts on in the background. So I've seen all your 1st-round mocks and stuff of you, Trevor and Connor, basically everybody, Hail Mary Sports. I'm excited to see who you got for the 3 6th-round picks for the New York Giants. That's where true mockers, I think, are set apart. And as I get more guys that we get down, I get excited. So we're going to do 7 rounds. Let me pull it up on the screen. Or 6 rounds, technically, with the Giants.
Yeah, it's tough to go deeper for a couple of reasons. Because, I mean, I do the work, and we've talked extensively in the past. But when you're on YouTube, I can't just put out a Giant 7-round mock draft because, on my channel, nobody cares. Yeah, I'm not Giant specific, and I can't do 7 rounds in general because the video will be 10 hours long. It already takes me an hour and a half to talk about just the 1st round.
Yeah,
it's impossible.
When we first started talking Giants, we spent way too much time on day 3, guys, in the preparation, which helped and stuff. But then the more we realized, like, hey, focus on the top 100. You don't want to be left, hanging at the 3rd round and you don't even know who the guy is. So focus on the top 100. Try and find targets maybe for day 3. But I don't know, people are going to get tired of me saying this take. Now that the Giants have 3 6-round picks, all 6 picks within each other, it's one thing to have 1 6-rounder like, hey, I like that guy, I want to take him. When you got to find 3 guys in that one clump that you can say something positive of, it makes it pretty damn tough. But round 1, pick 5 should not be tough. Let's kick it off. If this doesn't go the way I want, I will restart. All right. Actually, no, it didn't. I'm going to restart. I want Sonny Styles to be available for you.
Okay.
This is my life. I get to.
I think he will be. That's the thing. I think he will be there at 5.
Agreed. So this is kind of how I want. I don't think you're on the Jeremiyah love train. If you are, I'll restart. If you. But
I think it's a possibility. I don't know that they're going to do that. I think the argument to be made about Love, and who could obviously be gone at 4, I think his range is like 4 to 8. Which seems really tight for running back. So maybe there's more wiggle room there down, past the top 10 even. But you can just make the argument he's the best player in the draft. And in a draft that is kind of lacking blue chip players, that's not a bad idea. And then of course, I get to hear, oh, well, they have Scadaboo and Tyrone Tracy. Why would they ever consider a running back? And I get there are more needs on the roster than just running back, but Cam Scadaboo was probably never going to be the 20 carry a game type of explosive talent, but a great power back. But to every Brandon Jacobs, you need your Ahmad Bradshaw or whatever it may be, right? Love is the explosive home run hitting talent, and Cam Scadaboo's coming off of a major injury, and Tyrone Tracy's a great third running back. I think that's kind of where he lives. But am I advocating for the Giants to take running back at 5? No, I'm not, even though I think he's incredible. I don't think it's an awful pick, but I'm very comfortable doing something else.
Yeah, I finally planted my flag in the ground, and I said next year, let's talk more serious about drafting running back high, because they did not address offensive line and defensive line aggressively in free agency. That kind of is like, you know what? If you did that, then I can buy it. Where you got mobile quarterback, Greg Roman, Patrick Ricard, and you got an offensive line that people have to prepare for run game wise. Now that you haven't done that, let's wait a year. Let's wait till there's second round options for running back. Because you look at I looked at the top 12 rushers in the NFL last year. 10 of 12 went in the first or second round. So that's where the best backs are coming from. But I'm just kind of like next year is where I'll revisit that situation for the Giants. But we are at pick 5. You got Sonny Styles, Caleb Downs, offensive linemen, the wide receivers. What's kind of your thought process on what you want for the Giants? Not necessarily what you're predicting, but what you want.
It's tough to say what I want. I think Sonny Styles probably makes the most sense. I'm not really down with Delane so much at 5, even though I think he's a good player. It's tough because I think a lot of players in this class are good, but you have a top 5 pick. You don't want solid, you want exceptional. And I think the guy with the best chance to be exceptional at 5 is Sonny Styles. I really like Downs, but it's tough to just take a box safety at 5. And he's a very, very good player. But I mean, essentially what you're saying is if you get like Jets Jamal Adams here, like that's what you're kind of hoping for. And I know people are going to be down on that, but he got back 2 first-round picks from Seattle. He was a very good player. But I would say it's one of the Ohio State guys, almost certainly. I think Styles makes the most sense. That's probably who I gravitate toward.
Can I disagree not with the pick? I think Caleb Downs is more than a box safety. I think that's just kind of the way Ohio State used him. When you saw him play deep, you saw him make more play. Caleb Downs, I think, is the best player in the draft. I think he's kind of like a perfect fit for the Giants. But we just did our safety preview today, and my film breakdown's coming out of him, I guess, yesterday when people are watching this. I just think that's kind of the way Ohio State used him, where I think he's just got so much more ability deep than he was really able to shine.
I think he's really good working downhill. So, and that could even be from, playing the deep half. He can trigger downhill really well. We haven't seen him go back a ton. So it is a little bit more of guesswork there. We haven't really seen him play almost any single eye. There are a couple of reps, but it's limited stuff. So I think when I call him a box safety, I think that is his best role. And I think that's where you maximize him. And I think you look at Kyle Hamilton. Kyle Hamilton is an all-pro type of player. He's an incredible player, but you're not playing him the way, a team is using Jesse Bates, for example, where he's playing not only single high, but really covering the deep half as well from that free safety spot. Caleb Downs, I think, is more effective when he's utilized in that overhang role or in the box, or like Kyle Hamilton or Nicky Manwari, in that Mike McDonald defense, playing the overhang slot corner, box safety, hybrid linebacker almost type of role, the apex defender. So that's where I see Downs, and that's where I see the value. If he's Brian Branch, I'm comfortable with that at 5, and I think he absolutely could be. But I don't think his best role is go throw him over the top and see what you can do. I just don't think that's where you get the value out of him and his instincts, because a safety can really only impact the game so much. If you're playing him as I think what a lot of people view a safety to be, he's the last line of defense. You're using him for his range and ball skills, and that's not really Caleb Downs. He hasn't really been an incredible playmaker in that regard. But when you bring him down, you can let him use his instincts and diagnosing ability, he can make plays near the line of scrimmage, which is, I think, where his value elevates. I don't know how you feel about that.
I view him as a 33, 33, 33 guy, where I'm putting him a third in the box, third in the nickel, and then third deep. With Denard Wilson, he wants to live out of like the two. I mean, the whole NFL, except for like 3 defensive coordinators, lives out of the 2 high world right now. I think I do think you could put him in center field, but I actually kind of view that as a little bit of a waste because of how much damage, like you mentioned, he can do down low. So I'm between a few guys for pick 5. I'll give my final thoughts, on draft day of what a fish I want to do. But Caleb Downs or Sonny Styles. Sonny Styles are really good too. Where like, all right, the Giants are not anywhere near Super Bowl, but I would like them to get back there. And a big part of that could be like, hey, we got to do a quarter, possibly the best player in our draft 1 year. And then the next year, we got another guy who may be the best defensive player in the draft a year after. And that gives you got to get a lot of other things right to get to that Super Bowl level, but those could be 2 key pieces in the part of that, whether it's Caleb Downs, Sonny Styles, or whoever on the defensive side. But also, how tempted are you by offensive line? Are you or no?
I am, but I think if you were to trade down, because I like the idea of Fano playing inside, even though he's not. I don't know if he fits the identity of what the Giants are looking for on the offensive line. I think they want power over some of these zone type of guys like Fano, right? And Fano, I think his big value is if he can stick at right tackle, but I kind of view him in the same vein of like an Elton Jenkins, where if he can be your swing tackle, start at guard, if you need him at center, like I think he's just play your best 5 type of a guy. And I love Venga Ioane a lot. I think he's a stud, and I think he'd be a great fit for what the Giants want to do. And if you look at the interior offensive line that the Giants are rolling out there, it's not looking great right now. And I really thought, you look at John Runyon, I was like pleasantly surprised with the signing at the time, even though he wasn't an incredible player.
He's been exactly what he's just run-of-the-mill guard. It's not an issue, not an advantage either.
So I think you look at a potential like cap casualty in him, and I'm almost surprised that he's still on the team, but you got to have a starting guard. So I guess I get it in that sense. And I really would like John Michael Schmitz to take this big step up center, but we really have not seen that. And I loved him as a prospect. I really did. I thought his movement skills were awesome. I thought he was like Linderbaum light, where he's not to the same level, but if you get 80% of what Tyler Linderbaum is with the skills out in space, I thought you were getting a really good center. We haven't seen that really at all. But you're not drafting a guard at 5 unless it's Quentin Nelson, and that's not in this draft. But if you were to trade down from 5, I don't know who would, somebody would move up 4. I guess potentially like if the Chiefs wanted to move up to 5 for David Bailey, if he were on the board, I think that would be cool. I don't think anyone's trading up for Downs into the top 5 or Tate even, but I think a team could move up for Bailey. So if you're at 5 and you trade down, I think if you get the 9th pick or maybe even the 10th pick from Cincinnati, you could sell me on a guard or, Maui Noah with the idea that he could play guard or tackle depending on Illuminor.
Yeah.
So I like the offensive linemen. I think the ones you're talking about in this range, Maui Noah, Fano, and Ioane. But at 5, after the Illuminor extension, even now with the injury, I'm not really considering one of the offensive linemen too strongly.
Yeah, I could. I want to trade down too. I don't do trades in mock drafts, but like I'm fully in because let's say you trade down to pick 10, so now 5 more players are going to go off the board. Okay, well I really like Sonny Styles. I would love to draft Francis Mauigoa. I'd love to draft Caleb Downs. I like Jermod McCoy better than Mansour Delane, but I do like both those guys. And if you trade down even a little further, that's where it's like I think Vega Ioane makes a little more sense. Where I don't know if I want him in the top 10, but at pick 5, you're putting Sonny Styles in for pick 5?
I think that's the most likely. But you're saying who do I want?
Yeah, this is who do you want? This is not we're not predicting nothing in this one.
I'm you talk about Caleb Downs, this is 33 in terms of usage. That's probably what I am with this particular pick. But maybe I do lean Styles the most.
Yeah, let's go Styles. We did one with Connor Rogers last week. He went Caleb Downs, so let's So we didn't. It's funny. We're picking Sonny Styles. He's a player we talked about the least here. I mean, what do you think of Sonny Styles as I put it in?
I think he's an exceptional athlete that is growing as a processor. I think if you look at him at the start of the year, he's not the same player that he was at the end of the year. And I think a lot of the time when you talk about a super highly athletic linebacker, I've seen the Isaiah Simmons comps get thrown out there, and they really couldn't be more different as players.
No.
Like, yes, they're both big, but Styles is big in terms of weight and size, the way, Simmons was way more slight, and he was the hybrid, like, corner safety. Is he a linebacker? Is he a money backer? What's the deal? Styles is a linebacker.
Yes.
And he will roll his hips through contact. He will drive ball carriers into the ground. He does not miss tackles. And you talk about like the safety background. He came to Ohio State as a safety, but got so big that linebacker was the natural fit. And now I don't know that he has the coverage instincts that you'd expect from somebody who used to play defensive back, but it's high school, right? It's a different ball game as you get up in the levels, but I think he can absolutely grow into that. And it's not just projection, because we've seen it a little bit and we know how this guy can move, but he is like shot out of a cannon. Like, he's a heat-seeking missile, and he's not afraid. Like, when I think about a linebacker, one of the first things I'm looking for when I turn on the film is, how do you play in the box? Are you coming up trying to go through who's ever in your way, or are you trying to slip some of these blocks and try to be a little bit whatever? I like the guys that just want to. I'm trying to use my words.
Make it easy for us. Just go through them. Go through
Correct.
them. Use your hands. Go through their shoulder. Where, like you said, there's guys who I like. It's like, man, you slip in these blocks. I don't know if that happens at the next level. You're going to be out of place.
I've seen one guy do it well in the NFL, and that's Shaquille Leonard. Remember Shaq Leonard with the Colts? He really did not love contact, it seemed, in the same way that a lot of these guys do. But Styles, he wants to come up and bang. So, that's the type of linebacker that I like to watch, and I think makes a difference on a team. And you think about what he can become in coverage. Even the size is just so valuable, because you're not going to be able to hit some of those layered throws because he's so big and so fast. And I think he's got true star potential. And when you take a linebacker at 5, you got to factor in how they compare financially to the rest of the league. That's a big element of this, because when you take a running back or a linebacker or whoever at 5, they're instantly one of the highest paid players at that position. So if they're not one of the best in the league over that contract, it's a bad contract. And that factors into the decision, I believe, quite a bit. But I think Styles could become that.
And that's where it's like, even like the coverage stuff, like you said, he doesn't have the best instincts quite yet, but you just put him in the basics of linebacker coverage. Like, I covers the flat. You got half his tackles for loss covering the flats. Just drop him into the field. Like, that's a big athletic guy. You're going to think twice about throwing it and trying to give it over the top of him. You check it down, in front of the quarterback. All right, he's going to be able to rally and tackle really well. So it's not even just pass breakups or yards given up. A lot of times it's just your ability to rally and tackle. He does that so well. So, all right, we're putting in Sonny Styles. I restarted like 5 times because I didn't want to put the turbo going through the picks. So pick 37, we get a linebacker. This is where the Giants not having a 3rd-round pick is like, damn, because they need O-line and D-line so desperately. And then it's like, all right, well, let's hope that somebody falls to pick 37. Kejon is not going to be that. It feels more and more as we get closer to the draft, though, that clump of defensive tackles that nobody wants to draft in the first are going to be available there for the Giants. As I say that, they all go off the board with Caden McDonald, Caleb Banks, Peter Wood. So, Christian Miller went. So I'll scroll through here, as you can kind of talk through. You got Emmanuel Pregnon, Lee Hunter.
Yeah, Pregnon is the one that stands out right away. And I think he's a better fit for the Giants than Bisontis is, even though I like Chase Bisontis. I think he's better in pass pro than Pregnon. But again, I think Pregnon fits what the Giants want to do, which is go power run and establish that before anything else. And I think if you watch Emmanuel Pregnon, he's mean and he's big. And man, I hate to say who he reminds me of, because the NFL player was not exceptional, but in terms of the build and some of the movement skills, Zion Johnson came to mind. Remember him coming out of Boston College? And obviously Pregnon's probably not going to go as high, and is maybe a bit more powerful, but I think he's a really good fit here at 37.
Yeah.
If Peter Woods were to get there, I'm in on that as well because I've seen the potential. He was such a good player at Clemson his freshman year. Sophomore year was really good too. It's just junior year was not so good, and he doesn't have like the elite measurables that you're looking for of a potential top prospect. Could you consider a receiver here? I think Casey Concepcion could be fun, but I going into this draft, I think the Giants have needs at potentially safety, linebacker, corner, interior D-line, no question, guard, even center, but I highly doubt they would draft a center, and wide receiver. I think they could even take a tight end if the right one were to be available, and maybe we'll get to that with one of those 3 sixth rounders. I like Keelan Rutledge quite a bit as well, and I think he's in the conversation to go at 37, no doubt. So based on how I expect the board to fall, and we'll do how it has in this scenario, it's probably Pregnon for me. I like Concepcion. The hands worry me a little bit, but I think he'd be a really nice fit with the Giants. Someone that can play the slot, but also can be that Z receiver, and he can win on the outside. Like I think part of what sells me on a guy like Casey Concepcion, and the player that he reminded me of was Odell Beckham Jr. Not the ball skills, but the movement skills. You remember how Odell could just take a slant to the house, no problem? I think Concepcion moves in a very similar way. He's 5'11", maybe 190 pounds or so, but can win on the outside. He's got a diverse set of release packages, and he is able to set up corners with his speed and explosiveness, but also his technique and his fakes. So I like him as a route runner and as a player with the ball in his hands. The concern is, okay, is he going to catch the ball consistently in traffic? But you got Malik Neighbors for that down the field. So I think he's in play, but I would lean Pregnon here.
Yeah, I want to go. I love Pregnon's film. In fact, I've said I think Pregnon's run film is better than Vega Ioane's. But I want to go back and watch some of his USC stuff because I've been burned by the 24-year-old offensive lineman before.
It isn't amazing. I'm going to tell you that.
Yeah, so I want to watch because when I look at his film, like, why is this guy even getting out of the first round? But I want to revisit just to maybe temper some of my excitement on him because I've gotten burnt by it. But like I've said, like I think his run film was better than Vega Ioane, and Vega Ioane's I think pass pro film is better, but like Pregnon certainly isn't bad. I mean, I guess we're looking at it right now. He gave up a sack, 2 quarterback hits, and 2 pressures. I mean, obviously that's not the NFL, but that'd be the best guard in the NFL pass blocking wise. So even though I think some of these PFF numbers lie for college, I don't know how they chart it all. But so yeah, Pregnon feels like that. And for the Giants, man, you just feel like if they don't get an offensive lineman in the first 2 rounds, like what are we doing? Are we actually going to sign somebody post-draft? Who's that going to be? So, well, yeah, for me here, it'd be between Pregnon, really the same 3, Casey Concepcion, and then Lee Hunter. I like quite a bit.
Chris Johnson is also, I think, a stud. And if you're looking for an outside corner that can move into the slot, he's your guy. But I don't think the Giants are out here looking for someone where it's like, okay, can he play on the outside? Does he need to move into the slot? You have Drew Phillips for that, who I don't think is incredibly good, but he's serviceable.
Yeah.
But Chris Johnson's a very good player.
Yeah, I view Chris Johnson. Kind of this whole clump of corners who could be there 37, I view as fine, but none that I'm like, fist pumping about drafting. So I just lock Pregnon in before we get this big gap of 60 picks until the Giants' next one. I'll pick up the speed a little bit.
Saw Chris Bell as well. I don't think he makes sense at the 37 after the injury, but I am quite high on him as a player, or at least I was pre-injury. I think he's a stud.
Yeah. Going back on the corners, the guys I like are D'Angelo Pons, who I think there's arguments he could play outside, but he is 5 foot. He'd be a complete outlier, and then Keontae Scott, and I'm not banging on the table to draft a nickel only at the top of the second round.
No, I like Keontae Scott, but I like him more in the 3rd round, which you don't have a 3rd round pick.
Yeah,
because he doesn't go backwards. He's completely downhill.
Oh, dude, he's. I had the check. I can't remember. It might have even been Louisville actually, where I had the check. Like it. Did he weigh number 0 in this game? Because they're blitzing him every single play. All right, pick 105. So we've gotten a linebacker, a guard, anything. I'm gonna scroll through this. Let me know when a couple guys that might pop out at.
I like Strouth, but you just took a guard. Bud Clark, but honestly, it feels early. But I like him. McGowan, I like quite a bit. I think Jalen Kilgore, Jude Bowery, I think is a good player. Trey Zune, I think, is going to be a center.
Yeah. Let me do page 2 for you, and then we could kind of talk what.
I think Austin Barber's got potential.
I watched Ephesians Prize Talk yesterday. He's big as 6'3".
Yeah.
But you can only call cover 3 with him.
Well, that's what it's going to be, right? So I mean, if you look at it felt like for a while it was like every Washington Huskies just giant corner. It's easy to say, oh, future Seahawk at the time when they were doing the Legion of Boom type of stuff, and they got a couple of those guys. But it's like that's the classic. Just let him play, cover 3. Just I don't know if he's the bump and run guy, but he's the press bail type of guy. Just let him sit in zone and try to make a play.
Well, I was going to say, if the Giants don't draft him, we'll surely get to know him when he's on the Commanders. Thaddeus Dixon was the top 30 visit for the Giants. So what are you thinking here?
I have not seen him yet, so I have no opinion on him. So I mean, I like Malik Muhammad from Texas. Took him. I think this is decent range for him, to be honest. I think he's a solid player. Apparently, Caleb Proctor is going to end up going really high compared to what consensus is. And I like him. Didn't see him before the combine, but apparently teams have this really advanced type of AI scouting now, which seems ridiculous to me, but they look at body composition and also movement in different angles and all these different things. And apparently Caleb Proctor compares really favorably to a lot of the top interior defensive linemen in the league. I don't know anything about this. It's just something I read. But he is a really good athlete. And if you're looking for, a 3 tech that can get upfield, that's your guy. So I don't hate that here, knowing you need to go out and do something on the interior D line. Talked about Bud Clark briefly. Tacario Davis, I don't know if you saw him, another giant corner.
Yeah, 6'4".
I liked him at Arizona. And I'll tell you, I thought the tape was actually pretty good this year. And he didn't grade out well. Nobody's talking about him. But in the games that I watched, he was actually pretty good. So down here, I don't hate it as well. I like McGowan quite a bit, but I think if you're taking a running back, you're taking Jeremiah Love at 5. You're not taking another 4th round running back.
Yeah, I feel like there's no in between. It's either number 5 or 6th round.
Sure.
That's it for the Giants. No more 4th rounders. Even though the Bills gradually went up. They did, was it Singletary or Moss first? But they did Singletary, Moss, and then they went 2nd round James Cook.
I can't remember the order.
Yeah.
Eric McAllister, I think, is a stud. I don't think he's going to fit the profile because he's got some off the field stuff. So that it doesn't seem like what the Giants would do, but I think he is quite good on day 3.
I got to wash him now.
He's a good player too, but it's a totally different type. If you look at the build there, that's very different from 280-pound Caleb Proctor. But I would say probably one of the interior D linemen.
So
lean.
Tim Keenan, you got Caleb Proctor.
I saw Landon Robinson. Who else is there?
For D-line? Yeah, I forgot. You could go look at positions.
Trigg is another guy that I think is pretty cool, but has some off-the-field stuff as well. So I don't think the Giants would really consider him. Zane Durant, another freak athlete.
Yeah, smaller guy.
Yeah.
I just feel like the Giants need some I'm going against my own philosophies from don't talk about drafting for need on day 3, just find the good players. But I am just so sick of not being able to stop the run.
Yeah, you do need You do need size in there.
Where it's like if you're a good pass rusher, the defensive tackle spot, I almost don't want you. I'm like, I don't even want you thinking about that. We have guys that can do that. Don't even think about it.
That's fair. I mean, I honestly I don't love the way the board looks in general. It's not my favorite.
I could do some other positions. There's Muhammad definitely catches my eye. I mean, I think he'd be a good fit with Denard Wilson.
I mean, I don't hate the corners that are available. I think there are some good players there. Even Will Lee. Will Lee's physical. He's a little grabby.
Yeah.
But, I mean, he made some big plays for A&M, maybe more so in 2024 than 2025. But I don't hate him. And Jalen Kilgore. I mean, honestly, let's go Jalen Kilgore because...
Okay. Talk to me because we didn't talk. We did our safety.
He's going to be listed as a corner here.
Oh, okay.
But you're going to see the size and you're going to see the vision here pretty quickly. I don't know if he's going to necessarily play the nickel in the NFL. I think he can just legitimately play safety. And he's big, he's athletic, he's physical, and that feels like something the Giants would covet and value with this new defense. You talk about, coming over from Tennessee, Denard Wilson, what he values in the secondary. I think this could be a fit. And I like him as a player. And I think on day 3, like, you can sell me on that. But it just depends what you want because Muhammad's very different from Kilgore. And Lee and Davis are both, big and physical, but even they are quite different from each other.
So we did our safety preview, and I didn't put him on there because I saw he played so much nickel. And in fact, I'm going to share my screen on something else. Share it where? Okay, how do I do this? All right, I'm going to remove this. And then I'm going to show you my last walks list. So I just put Jalen Kilgore on there. Of guys we didn't cover on previews, but that, might have had a visit or something with the Giants. And you see Pregnon on USC. So I'm going to add Kilgore. So you view him as just a guy who just plays safety in the NFL.
I think so. It's just like he's got the size for it. And when you look at the Giants, if you're going to go out and run Holland, Nubin, like you don't just need one nickel defender in the NFL anymore. You're gonna potentially rotate guys and bring in different guys depending on the look. And I don't know that I'm so sold on Drew Phillips. I don't know how many penalties I can see him commit downfield before. Like, I think it's time to at least consider getting somebody else in there. And I think if you want to be big and physical, Kilgore absolutely fits the mold. I think he is somebody that, if you watch him at South Carolina, he played a little bit in the box as well, depending on what look they would give. Yeah. And he just comes up and hits like a linebacker sometimes. So,
and if he could give you more coverage ability than Drew Phillips, there's things to like about Drew Phillips, right? Like he's aggressive, right? He can make a play here and there. But whenever I'm like thinking about like giving a guy like, let's give him year 3, give him year 4, or to not like I'm for giving him a year 3 of like, hey, you're the starter, but I'm also not going to not draft somebody in the 4th round because of you. Because when I think of like you being better and that being part of that being limiting what you do, where it's like, oh, just don't put him in man coverage or cover down the field. Well, then I'm believing in you less than I say. So yeah, he's certainly not stopping me from drafting somebody in the 4th round. So you want to lock it in?
Yeah, and maybe it's just an opportunity to talk about him because I feel like he's not getting the requisite love at this point. And I know it's going to be like, man, we have so many different needs. We just took a nickel corner in the 4th round. But I think he's got a little bit more versatility. But I think that's probably his best role is playing the nickel, playing in the box. And that's what we were talking about earlier with Caleb Downs, where I think he shines.
Right.
No, I'm not. Jalen Kilgore is not Caleb Downs, but he's a fun player. And I've seen some good receivers go off the board too. That was obviously in play for us, but didn't like Dejon Stribling. I think would have been a decent option, but decided to go a different direction.
Wish he would have been at Ole Miss 1 year earlier because I like getting the Jackson Dart connects. So we're at round 5. Tim Keenan is still on the board. That's always nice.
Oh yeah, we just considered him.
Get Isaiah Worrell, probably the person I was the most wrong ever on in our way too early.
I was excited about him coming into the year.
So excited about him.
He dominated Mountain West competition and then jumps up to the Big Ten and he can't even move.
Well, I even watched Oregon spring game. I was like, look, they're seeing growth. And then they just shit his pants at Oregon, and I think he tore his ACL in that last game too. So all right, so we got Ephesians Pricelog is still there. Albert Regis, and Caleb Elam's Ors, Michael Taff of Texas, Desmond.
DJ Campbell's an interesting one,
Mm-hmm.
where I don't think he's incredible, but he did grow at Texas, and I was impressed by him in 2025. If you don't know, DJ Campbell is a former top 10 high school recruit, or just about, at guard. So this was the 5-star offensive lineman of his class, and he comes in at Texas and just isn't that good. But he is big. He is strong and physical. He comes back for his final year at Texas, even though he's draft eligible. Comes back, was the only returning starter, and was like the guy that brought it all together for Texas as the offensive line improved over the course of the year. It started out so badly. And if you want to go big and physical, he fits the mold there. And that's what we've talked about with the Giants so far. I think he is, he's got the potential to be a solid backup or potential starter. He's not an athlete. He just doesn't have elite movement or anything like that.
He's the type of guy you draft on day 3 of the offensive line. I do 3 mocks per year, or 3. Grump's taken over the pre-free agency one. And Campbell was who I took in the 5th round. Like he's the type of offensive lineman I think you do take in the 3rd round.
He's got the pedigree, has the potential, and I think it fits a lot with, you see it at receiver more than almost anything else, where it's like, okay, former highly recruited guy, never really put it all together, but flashed enough, ends up going somewhere on day 3, and then is a productive NFL player, even a star. You look Stephon Diggs, Puka Nacua, and that's a receiver, not so much at offensive guard. But, you do see that pipeline between, okay, there is something here. Everyone saw it, didn't ever fully get put together. But some guys are late bloomers, even if they are super hyped up and they're early bloomers in high school. They could be late bloomers going from college to the pros.
Yeah, and with just taking a guard here, possibly. Like Shane got us excited. Like he drafted, not necessarily with the players, like, he drafted 3 offensive linemen, right? Neal, Azudu, and McKeithen. Okay, well, they suck. They all suck. The last 3 years, he's drafted 2 combined, with a 2nd round pick and then a 5th round pick with JMS and Marcus Bowe, where you drafted guard earlier, but like you go look at Ravens draft strategies. They've obviously had a lot more picks due to the way they play the comp game. They draft 2 offensive linemen every single year. The Giants have done 2 over the last 3 years.
Yeah, they're due.
So, all right, let's lock in DJ Campbell.
I'm down. Horns up. I think it's not bad to just get the depth and get something to develop as well. There goes Keenan, who I think, again, would have been a pretty good fit. Like nose tackle down the board, I think there's a lot of options. Joe Royer, I like to. If you're looking to get a tight end, Caleb Douglas is not bad.
This is where we make our money. These 3 6-round picks.
I've been waiting for it.
Here we go. Hopefully they fall.
Eric Rivers in the 6th could have been nice.
Bam. All right, so you're looking at receiver here?
I think it's an option. Tyron Montgomery dominated the Senior Bowl as from a D3 John Carroll or whatever, but I don't know what his NFL future is.
Yeah, I just decided, unless the Giants.
Give me Delp.
Delp it up.
That's an easy call.
Yeah.
Oscar Delp, I think, has the potential to be the 2nd best tight end prospect in this draft. He was banged up at Georgia, but he moves differently. Like, I'm not going to say he's Brock Bowers because that's ridiculous, but he's got the same type of build and he moves similarly. And it's going to sound ridiculous. And I'm not saying that's who he is. But again, if you can get 80% of Brock Bowers in the 6th round, and I think Delp's going to go a lot earlier. I also really like Kaylon Black.
I don't understand why Delp is always like, I don't know what the deal is. I actually took him with one of these 6-round picks when I did the summer mock draft. And I was like, certainly he will rise. Like Georgia tight end, he'll rise, and then nope. So I want to scroll through here a little bit before we do these back-to-back picks. We could get Sunny Sal's brother.
I'm okay on that.
boosts his morale. We could get Jackson Dart's former tight end Daquan Wright.
He was
boost his morale.
impressive to me. Whenever Ole Miss needed a big play,
He made some tough catches on some corner routes.
I'm saying.
Getting lit up. More so than Cade Precursor or whatever the other tight end was. Max, we get another fullback. I love Patrick Ricard, but he has ruined the idea of me taking a fullback in the 6th round with one of these picks.
Oh no.
I know.
Taylor Green is there, could use a receiver.
Yeah, put him at tight end. People joke about that, but I mean, it's worked more than people realize with Logan.
I think that's what he ultimately ends up being. I mean, he's got the freak of all freaks type of builds. He's got a strong arm though, but I'm sure he's going to want to stay.
He's so bad.
Yeah, he's not good, unfortunately.
He's terrible. So Lamar, people being stupid about Lamar did kind of ruin the conversation about moving some quarterbacks. Julian Edelman, Logan Tom. Like it does.
Lamar was a legitimately good passer at Louisville. It's not surprising that he's a good pro. He was my QB2 in that draft.
He won the Heisman. So what? Let me go back to page 1.
Travis Burke.
A lot
of people like him.
Top 30 visit. I saw Brugler put him in the top 100, so I'm assuming that people will follow suit on him. He's again another guy the Giants had a top 30 visit on.
He's got the size and athleticism. I'm surprised. Well, I'm not surprised because it's PFF, but I'll say surprised by the grades because it's been my understanding that, and I've seen almost nothing of him other than write-ups. I want to make that clear, but it's my understanding that this guy is quite raw.
Yeah. This is the type of rant you get in the 6th round. I've never used a PFF grade for my analysis just because that's what I'm supposed to do for my audience.
Correct.
Right. But I'm not one to just bash them or whatever. They're college ones. I just call bullshit on half of these. Like, how are all of these dudes just sick? How is every single guy who is grading the Memphis college football team? All 50 guys.
I think part of it too is, there's a big difference between holding your own, against Alabama. And I'm looking at the schedule here: Troy, Georgia State. He had his worst games against Arkansas and USF on the side there. This is worst games according to PFF. I think that's Tennessee, Chattanooga at the top.
The new Tay Davis, Terrell Owens came from Tennessee.
There you go. So I don't know what to do with these, but if you're telling me on day 3 I'm going to take a super freak size athlete developmental tackle, I'm in, because the downside is there is no downside. You've wasted a 6th. Okay.
Bam, lock it in. Now you got one more you got to do.
We didn't address receiver at all, but who's even here? Yeah, did we even address interior D line?
No, so that's going to be. I already know that's going to be the thing. It's like Bengal just doesn't want to stop the run.
I do though. But it's just like I also want to take what I think to be the right player.
Yeah, that's the thing when you have a team that's really bad.
And you can find nose tackle down the board. How many good day 3 or undrafted nose tackles have we seen in the NFL? The Giants have had one. Damon Harrison was the best in the league for a brief time. On day 3, you're not going to find the all-around stud.
The issues you passed on him and Tim Keenan. That was your get out of jail free card.
We can take Cole Brevard, who's gigantic and also not amazing, but he's big.
Brevard County, I love it. Best game against Ohio State. Love to see that. All right, let's lock it in. You want to lock it in?
It's only right that I just continually draft Longhorns here.
I was really on board for Malik Muhammad, which would have been great to just get all your day 3 from Texas.
And really fit the stereotype for me.
So we could thank Darren Waller for Travis Burke, and we could thank Jordan Phillips for Cole Brevard in the 7th and 6th round.
Phillips, God.
So thank you, Darren Waller. Jordan Phillips never played a game for the Giants, yet got us a 6th and 7th round pick swap. I love that. Probably Joe Shane's best move. And then Darren Waller.
He's made so many good ones. Kalen Black off the board. I really like him. He was someone where at Indiana, I was surprised by the burst that he had, that nobody was talking about him. Early in the year, I was trying to do some of these deeper mocks, and he just wasn't even in the database.
Yeah, he's just hard to bring down. I mean, Miami's got a strong defense, and he was giving them fits trying to bring him down.
There's a former top recruit, Damani Jackson.
Let's see who's Mr. Irrelevant, and then we're good. I'll pick up the pace here a little bit. There goes Max Bredesen to the Jags. We'll have to play him this year. I'm so excited to play.
The Giants could have finally got him.
I'm so excited to play. We played Daniel Jones this year and Brian Dable, so we get to play our former head coach and quarterback in 1 year.
It's going to be a movie, as they say.
Yeah, I'm hoping to go to the Titans game. So I mean,
the grades here are brutal. I mean, this is not my dream draft for the Giants. It's just what happened. But the grades should be way better than what they are.
Yeah, it was just
it's PFF.
Well, actually, they won it. Your grades shouldn't be good because that means you're just clicking top of the board and you're not actually picking the guy that you want. So.
But I'm saying Delp is going to go way earlier than this. I would bet. I think Burke is going to go earlier as well.
I don't. And here's something I don't understand is I understand the grade not being great, but I don't understand how you get to the bottom, whatever. So once I did one where I'm I'm going to take what they probably would suggest for every single pick. And then the best I could get was top 54% of Giants mock drafts. I don't even know how we get to that.
It might be in the simulator, players that don't usually fall are falling for certain guys with their settings.
Yeah, or you trade down 25 times.
That's of course. So. See, I saw a Giants mock draft the other day from a reputable source, supposedly, where they traded down from 5 to 8, and then from 8 to 10. I'm like, come on, man! This isn't fantasy land. We just don't. When has that happened?
Listen, you can.
The first time we see that,
you can state that you want to trade down, right? I want to trade down. In fact, when the Giants had during the bye week, I always do one mock draft during the bye week, and the Giants had the first pick, and I was like, "Here's what I'm going to do. It would be stupid to not trade down here, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to trade for future picks because what I hate is having a mock draft. I'm like, all right, who are you making the decision on? It's I traded back and I got everybody that I wanted. I didn't have to make any decisions. That's not what I look on a mock draft for. I look in the mock drafts to see what tough decisions you had to be made and who's going to be there, not you just happening to get all the players that the Giants need. So I'm very anti-trade.
I can't decide between Caleb Downs and Carnell Tate. I'll just get them both.
Yeah, it's I got Chase Pasontis and Lee Hunter in the second round. So no worries. You guys, why are you guys worrying about the trenches? We got all those guys. So all right, Bengal. What do you got planned for draft coverage?
I'll be live like I am every year. We'll see if that goes well. I mean, it's the rest of the entire stream and weekend is almost dependent on what happens at that 5th pick. So we'll see. But I say this, I'm scared to say it, but I'll say it anyway. I almost think the Giants can do no wrong at 5 for me. I think based on what I expect to be available and who they would consider, I think I'm going to be pleased with whoever it is. Even if it's Delane, I can sell it on a potential starting outside corner. If it's Carnell Tate, I can say it's a great wide receiver 2 to add to the offense to put more talent around Jackson Dart. Pick a storyline, right? You can make something in it. The only thing I wouldn't be excited about is if the Giants randomly decided to take an edge, which they're surely not going to do in any scenario. There's no way Reuben Bain or David Bailey or anybody is a Giant. I will say if Arvell Reese gets to 5, I'm so in on that. Even if he doesn't play off the edge, even if he's just a linebacker, I like him at linebacker.
You see, that's where he scares me. Where it's why don't we have you a definitive position? And it's not just that. I've watched
his team. They want to maximize his value, and his maximized value is off the edge. But the guy can play line.
Whatever team drafts Arvell Reese, because he's extremely talented, do not try and make him play both. You put all his efforts into one position, and just do that. If it fails after 2 years, then you try the other position, but do not do both because that is how you're going to make him suck, and you're viewing him as a bust 2 years down the road. But yeah, I'm kind of in on most picks except for I probably Carnell Tate. I probably wouldn't be as high on, but it's the corners I can be bought into both. Sonny Styles and then Maui Noah and Downs are probably my top 2 picks for the Giants.
If the Giants could trade down into the teens and walk away with Jermod McCoy, and then go interior line D line at the top of the second. Like that's kind of the dream. I heard you mention McCoy. We didn't really talk about him too much. And I guess we're at the end here, so we're not going to. But he's my CB1 in the class.
He's my number 2 player in the class.
I'm on board with that. I
Injuries.
don't have him quite that high because I am factoring in that we haven't seen him play football since 2024. But he is, I think, I'm going to say this and then duck and run, the best DB in the class.
Oh,
that's what I think. I like Downs. I really, really do. But the upper echelon in terms of value is greater at corner than it is at safety, and that's factored in for me. So
yeah, I don't factor positional value except for fullbacks and special teams. So for me, it's my top 5 is Downs, McCoy, Maui Noah. Let me pull it up. Right, I think I have Jeremiah Love. I have it right here. Jeremiah Love, and then I have Ruben Bain at 5, Sonny Styles at 6, and then it's Delane, Tyson, Lemon.
So you're not a Reese guy. Well, you
pick
can
a position,
be still and not
pick a position.
Okay.
You know, he's not a guy who I'm like, this can't work in the NFL. I have a lot of worries of at linebacker.
I think that's entirely fair. I do.
It's just at edge,
we haven't seen it very much. We have not seen it.
And he's
so
small, and he's outlier size, right? Like he has outlier. I think the comp is Nick Benito, right? And that's not just every small guy is Nick Benito. But there is like so much reminders of watching Nick Benito at Oklahoma to what he is.
Yeah, that's fair. And the thing about Benito that like he is a size outlier in terms of height, weight, but he had the arm length.
Yeah.
So like it's not like Cassius Howell. That's the one where I'm really afraid of.
Yeah. Yeah. And Reese, you know, I think he has the same arm. It's just Reese is like 4th percentile for weight, 16th
he's like
for height.
And this goes back to like he's undersized outlier that hasn't really done much off the edge at edge, but he's the big freak athlete with I'm going to say this. I've said this for months now. He is the best play strength of any linebacker I've ever evaluated over like 8 years of taking this pretty seriously. I have never seen a linebacker with his play strength. So
yeah,
get him at linebacker. And this guy again can be a freak.
Yeah, I just want to see him use his hands a little more as a linebacker. So there's just questions I have with him, but all right, cool.
He's one of your starter, so I mean it's tough. It's always been tough. But anyway, we've gone long enough.
Yeah, I was expecting this to be 30 minutes. I'm glad we went almost an hour. So we're gonna kick it off to some running. We're doing some day 3 running backs after this on this portion of the show. So Bengal, people know where to go. You follow, you know, Big Game Bengal. Find them everywhere. Just search it on Google. Whatever you follow, you'll find them. Appreciate you jumping on. And I'm excited to see what we have at pick 5. Like you said, I'm kind of
me too.
I'm not in on everything, but I'm in on most. So we'll see on the next or we got more to the episode, but thanks again for jumping on. All right, thanks Bengal for jumping on. We're gonna do a little bit of a running back draft preview, talk Jeremiah Love, and then some day 3 and even maybe some UDFA options. But first I want to talk to you about G-ology. It's award-winning men's. For men, skin, hair, and body care built to do one thing: help you look better and feel more confident. It's simple and effective. It creates that with routines customized just for you. Ingredients that are proven to work, trusted by dermatologists for decades. No complicated step routines, just what works. I went out and filled out like a form online, and guess what? They sent 1, they sent a 2, they sent a 3, and then they sent a 4, and then they sent me 3 more of the same stuff. So if you want to age gracefully but don't know where to start, right? Well, guess what? Retinol night cream boosts cell turnover to reduce wrinkles and fine lines. Vitamin C plus E fear alert serum fights free radicals that break down collagen. Fight the radicals. SPF 15 moisturizer protects against UV damage, number 1 cause of premature aging. Proven ingredients trusted by dermatologists for decades. So it's never too early for like people like me, or too late for people like Grump to start taking care of your skin. You know, Grump wishes he started sooner. This is the description. This is a subscription, though, because real skincare results take time and consistency. Think of it like a gym membership for your face. You wouldn't expect to get fit after one workout. But if subscription isn't your thing, you can also grab Geology on Amazon. So what are you waiting for? Use my code GIANTS100 and grab 100% off your personalized skincare trial set. You'll be glad you did. Let's talk about some running backs.
I'll give you a break there since you just rattled off that ad. This is like one of my favorite positions to do, by the way, for draft analysis, because I just feel like you kind of figure out fairly early on like a general idea of where the guy's going to go, and then like the more you watch you can fine tune, whereas other positions like you really got to watch like at least 2 whole games to even get a general idea of where these guys are going to go just based on the position and whatever. Running back I feel like is pretty easy. It's always fun when you find somebody cuz like they're breaking away and like breaking tackles and stuff. So I usually do these like to get my feet wet, like start draft season in like January, especially because in the Senior Bowl, we don't really get a good look at running backs. So the best thing I can do is do some pre-Senior Bowl work on the running backs that are going to be down there. So I already have some formed narratives when I know like, oh, this guy's like got to work on his blocking. I'll watch that down there or something like that.
Yeah, and it's a position where it can be the most different in style, but also successful. So and you get day 3 guys, you get UDFAs that end up working out, so you don't feel stupid. Like if I have a defensive end graded as UDFA, it's like this is genuinely a waste of my time. Running back, absolutely not. There's a chance that guy can make some plays in the NFL. I don't know why the end of that ad reminded me of Orange County. I feel like I do this all the time on the podcast where, he's telling the story of the fire. He's like, that lady was in there. It was her.
I love that movie.
She's like, burn this down. I was like, you better not. You better not.
It's such a dumb movie.
It really is.
Is it like Colin Hanks's like only movie?
And we all saw it on like MTV or Comedy Central or whatever it ran on back. That's one of the things that, you lose as people get away from cable TV is just seeing these movies that were bad but are very funny that get on TV,
PCU, man.
My Cousin Vinny. My Cousin Vinny is like one of the funniest movies ever. Without TV, it's not known. I don't think it's not known like it is. Let's talk about Jeremiyah Love, though. Let's stop wasting time. I say you better not waste time. We got Breaking Big Blue in 35 minutes, and this episode's an hour and a half already. Jeremiyah Love, running back from Notre Dame, 6'2", 212, number 4 on the consensus board, number 1 for running backs. 20 years old, will be 21 this summer. I mean, we people know who he is, right? We don't need to do a full breakdown of what he is. He's explosive. He's fast. He is going to create big plays for you in the NFL. He runs through bad tackles. He's not the strongest guy in the world. He likes to bounce plays for better or worse. So if you have a bad O-line, I think you'll be frustrated about efficiency. This is a really good back, right? We've said it before. If you want to have a top rusher in the NFL, you got to draft him in the first or second round 90% of the time. And Jeremiyah Love is that guy in this class. But I'm just not pulling the trigger on it compared to the other guys on the board and where the Giants are.
Yeah, so let's talk about that. So we know that Jeremiyah Love is a really good player. We people listening, they get that. Now it's time to nitpick him, right? Because if you're gonna consider picking him at 5 overall, you have to start nitpicking and really consider, are you gonna do this? So what are the things that he doesn't do well, or what don't you like? Like bouncing plays, you know what I mean? That is certainly something that you should check. It's certainly something that I noticed about Saquon Barkley coming out, is that he would avoid contact, or just like a small nitpick, like, he probably has one guy to beat. And if he just puts a shoulder into this guy, I don't know, maybe he would have beat him, but instead he just chose to run out of bounds. So that kind of thing, like, yeah, I'll check that out. You've mentioned this before. Why do you keep trying to hurdle everybody? It's cool. And I'll watch the replays of you doing it, the 4 or 5 times it works. And then the other times where someone hits your ankles and you go spiraling, it's not really worth it. You could have probably done something else. But I mean, outside of that, like those 2 things, I don't really have a lot of negatives on him. I do think that he's like not afraid of contact when he's like in a not bounce out scenario. Like if he's already committed to running up the middle, he will put his shoulder down and chuck his feet.
And he's got some great examples of doing that. It's just, he's not, and this is good, right? I want him trying to create explosive plays. I'm not drafting that 5th overall to just get north and south, unless they are a big build back, you know what I mean? Like a Derrick Henry, where that plays into your style. But even then, Henry likes to get out on the edges more than people give him credit for because of his size. But like you said, when he does put his shoulder down, like he does run through some tackles. It's just not like his main part of his game. And there is also times like he's got good contact balance, but like when guys swipe at his leg, it's not a just run through it. It's more of a like he kind of stumbles an extra 7, 8 yards, which is really freaking good, but it's just not the same stylistically. So, in a year, I hope to be wanting a running back in the first round. I really do. I just where the Giants are, I don't feel like doing this over the other guys that are available on the board.
No, and like I don't want to make this a Saquon Barkley or Jeremiah Love conversation, but like there are things like you said, like the contact balance is not quite the same. Like this isn't necessarily the same freak athlete that Saquon Barkley is that would give me the pause to be like, well, the O-line's not quite built yet, but I know that my guys are committed to building it. Yeah, like I'm just not playing that game, right? Like so I'm not doing that. I think that the Giants have other priorities, and I don't love this prospect so much that I'm willing to move around those priorities right now.
Yeah, it's again, if the Giants draft him, he's going to be exciting for the Giants. They're going to have some big runs. And hell, I hope they, nail pick 37 with an interior offensive lineman, and then we're building, right? And then you got Greg Roman, Jackson Darts, like a lot of the pieces are there to start doing that. It's just the offensive line is not in a place to draft a running back 5th overall. It's just not. It can get there, but it's not right now. And so I just believe that first round backs and second round backs are going to come year after year. I haven't looked at next year's class. It's not like quarterback, like wait till next year. But I mean, what classes haven't we looked at and said, oh man, there's a good first round back, a second round back, Kenneth Walker, Brees Hall, Bijan Robinson. Like let's go through the. I mean, let's go through.
I mean, there is one in every class. That's what I'm saying. Like where this guy is better than most of those guys. I think he's better than Ashton Genty. But again, like he's not like this freak that makes him head and shoulders better than the guys that do come out pretty much every year.
Yeah, and it's just, like you said, there's guys that come out every year, and maybe the Giants are drafting 15th next year. Wouldn't that be nice? And it's a better class, with Jeremiah Smith and some more quarterbacks. And guess what? The running back's not going top 7 in that class. He ends up falling to 12th or 13th, and the Giants are in the spot to do that. So, all right, now we're gonna do a little bit of old school draft preview. Very quick, kind of quick hitters. Day 3, and then postal UDFAs. Me and Grump each have 3. I'm excited about my 3 because they're all different and they're all things that I like. Where when we did our tight end episode, I was like, I don't really like these guys. I wish I would have picked others, but it's too late. The safety preview, Grump, was pretty rough because we didn't like a lot of those guys. So I'm glad that I picked good on these guys. So I'm going to start with Demon Claiborne, running back out of Wake Forest, 5'10", 188, ran a 4.37 40. Number 155 on the consensus board, number 8 for running backs, 22 years old. I mean, this guy is just fast with great acceleration, fast lateral cuts. Like, you just get him out on the edges or even up through the hole, and he can be a menace. Now, there's just negatives to his game, right? He has a huge fumble issue and drops, right? So he hasn't had a ton of receiving production over the years. He had 254 yards receiving in 24, which I guess is pretty good. Almost 2,000 yards over the last 2 seasons. This is a Keaton Mitchell, right? Like, which the Ravens had as their running back 3, who's, he averages over 6 yards per carry, but only has over, barely over 700 yards over the last 3 years. So, like, he is a specialized player. It's not Dante Miller because he's way just better with the lateral stuff. But this guy can create big plays, right? So you get Patrick Ricard out on the edges. You get a good run game working. You throw him in there for, one game he gets 8 carries. Like, you can turn that into an 8 for 65-yard day.
How is he like receiving blocking?
Blocking, they never really had him do it. So, I wrote never uses a blocker in bad when he did. That usually is a tell when they're not having them block at all. I did write a note like route running can be Tony-esque. And that's not in a good way. That's where it's like he's running like a little return route, and he just basically does a spin move in the middle of it. And he's got a drop problem. The fumble problem is so frustrating because it's half of it's concentration. Like, there was one game where he's running a toss, he doesn't catch the toss. Then he messes up the handoff. And again, he doesn't have a power profile, but I mean, he's just just quick cuts, right? There's definitely not a guy who's trying to get just north and south, but he wants to work up through the hole, and then you put him out on the edges. Like this, he's speed, speed, speed. This is a speed back. You don't believe that this guy's ever becoming your number one, but this is a compliment to the room, which is what we're trying to accomplish with this preview outside of Jeremiyah Love.
Yeah, I mean, that's certainly what I did with my guys. Before I jump into mine, where did you end up grading him? Like, do you have him as a UDFA or higher?
I believe I had him as a 6.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I had him as a 6 because I'm like, all right, this is a guy who can bring value to me. Not going to be whatever, but like the value is explosive plays, right? So, I might view like just a running back versus this guy. Like, but it's just I know what my value is for you. I don't have any delusions. You are a specialized player, so I put him as a 6th round. So I'm going to go. My guys are 6th round, 7th round, and UDFA of note.
So I kind of took the same approach and what it appears that John Harbaugh is looking for, right? With that's explosive plays from the running game. And I tried to because it's either going to be Jeremiyah Love or it's not going to be for a while, if at all, right? And I think the earliest it could possibly be, if it's not 5th overall, is going to be that 4th pick, the fourth round. And even that's a stretch, but I just wanted to pick, somebody in that range just to get an idea of what we're looking at if that is the move, right? And I think you and I would agree that that's a stretch, picking somebody with the 105th or 108th overall, whatever it is. But I went with Kaytron Allen from Penn State. In enormous production and part of a 2-back backfield. Also, he rushed for 1,000 yards for the last 2 years, and then 900 yards the year before that, and 860 the year before that. So ridiculous production. And I he's considered a 4th. I think he's 130th on the consensus big board. I agree that he's a 4th. I think that, there are definitely some things where he can get better. But the explosion, the burst, like that's all pretty much there. I think that he's shifty too. I think some of his shiftiness can be toned down. I think that he does that a little bit too much, especially behind the line of scrimmage. It's just go, dude. Like you're really fast. You don't need to be doing all this, especially since nobody's really paying attention to it. But his vision is just okay. I think at times he can kind of run into the backs of his blockers. He can make the right decisions, but make them too late and run into the backs of his blockers a little bit, or, kind of like chip into somebody when he could have avoided them, but still kind of developing some of that vision. It's, at 5'11", 216 pounds, he doesn't really look like he's built or whatever. And he doesn't really run a power game because he is so fast, but he does have really good strength to take guys on and keep guys moving. He can break tackles pretty well too. I think he's really impressive on passing downs as well. As a receiver, he's your basic running back out of the backfield. But as a blocker, I think he's actually a pretty decent blocker. I think he has the good frame and strength to him. I think he squares up well. He has the good initial pop with good pad level. And then he controls well. And, he could work to keep his feet moving a little bit more under control throughout the block. But running backs are not typically asked to block for super duper long. So the fact that he's got as much as he does under his belt already tells me that he's kind of like a 3-down back almost already in terms of skill set. He does have the burst that the Giants are looking for, though, and a precedent of 3 years of basically 1,000-yard years. So, and not really much of an injury history. So I think it's possible that Kaytron Allen is in consideration in the 4th round.
Especially, maybe they trade down in the 4th round a little bit. And you said he's 130, the Giants are 105. That's how, what adding picks can allow you to do. The next guy I'm going to talk about is Roman Hemby, the other running back from Indiana, 6 foot 207. Number 206 on the consensus board, 13th for running back to 23 years old. Was the starting running back for Maryland. I mean, in 2022, he had 1,300 scrimmage yards for Maryland. Transferred to Indiana this last year and got over 1,100 yards rushing for them. He's like if you played Madden and every handoff you just held triangle and then just push the joystick forward, because that's what it's just like a ball security north and south. Even when they get him on some outside runs, I mean, he's just looking, all right, when can I set up the cut to get north and south? Good speed, average strength. I don't think his contact balance is great, but like he is the definition of like he's gonna get what's there, right? He is just north south. I mean, my write up is Good speed in a straight line, but won't run away from you. Strength is average with below average contact balance. Very straight line north and south at full speed. Has a nice cut when activated, turning outside runs up. Runs into backfield leakers instead of avoiding them. Does not do anything to make open field tacklers miss. Paces himself behind blockers on the edges. Doesn't move the pile or bring pop to tacklers. Low tacklers have a high success rate against him. Plays with good ball security, 1 fumble. And below average route runner, good blocker, but does have some examples of getting blown up. And again, I have him as a 7th round. So that's Roman Hemby, number 206 on the consensus board. Who's your next guy?
My next guy is Leveon Moss from Texas A&M. He's listed at 211th, which is a 6th round pick, which is why I picked him. I actually have him graded higher than that. I have him as a 5th round talent. His big problem though is injuries. So the spot is probably correct. The talent has him a grade above that, but he shredded his ACL and MCL in 2024. So, that is, concerning for a running back. 2025, he hurt his ankle against Florida and he missed 6 games. Then he re-injured in the college football playoff against Miami. So, the production in the last 2 years is halted by injuries, but that's really when he kind of became the main guy back there. It's 765 yards in 2024, only 404 yards in 2025. But this is the guy with burst, right? Good patience and feet behind the line of scrimmage. Excellent burst through the hole. It's kind of a build-up thing, but I think that has more to do with confidence in his vision than it does start and stop ability, because there are times where you can see when the hole is wide open, he just makes the decision a little bit faster. The actual ability to turn on the jets, I think he has to, at an elite level. I think he has above average contact balance. He's good at shedding tacklers without doing anything kind of amazing. He has a little bit of a spin move to him as well, but he most importantly is he's secure with the football and he doesn't give up easily. There's some examples of him dragging tacklers behind him, but it's the speed that pops off the tape for him. He doesn't have much else in the open field other than that speed, and he doesn't really have the best vision in the world, like I mentioned. But sometimes when you're really, really fast, you don't need a ton of great vision. It's something he's going to have to work on. As a receiver, the route tree is basic. He wasn't really utilized much. I'm not even going to comment really as him as a receiver. As a blocker, I think he's not that bad. He could use a little bit of refinement, but who can't at this level? Capable on the move as well. But it's the sustain. It's the long-term strength beyond the initial pop for him. I think that he could fit something the Giants are looking for if you want to look past the injuries.
My last guy is someone who can potentially be number 1. Right now, he would be the number 1 in the UDFA wish list unless there's some big surprises. And that is Kejon Owens, running back out of FIU. I'll be honest, I picked the guy because I was like, oh, Florida International. They rarely ever get any draft love, right? I took a visit there. More than Mario Cristobal was that coach. Let me check him out. He's 5'10", 203 pounds. Didn't go to the combine, so I go and look at his pro day on the Beast. He ran a 4.71 40, and I'm like, oh gosh, did I waste this one? Did I waste this one? And you look at his consensus big board, number 399. Ooh, I might have wasted a slot for the episode. 27 for running backs. But then he had 1,300 yards in senior year. I like him. I like him a lot for what he is. He's slow. If the Giants had a 7th round pick, I'd want him. They don't, so I want him as a UDFA. This guy, he had 15 carries for 78 yards against Penn State. He just reads blocks so well, cuts well, has solid contact balance, good foot churn. And he makes guys miss in the open field despite that, right? It's a slower process, but he does it. He got a nice lateral cut that's just firm, strong, uses his hands, doesn't go down. So it's just like he's slow, but he's slow, productive. He just always makes the right read when there's a play that's, a leaker in the backfield. He's able to make that guy miss and get some yards out of it. He influences linebackers to, pull them up and then cut off of that. Slow or not, I like the guy. I'll just read my write-up real quick. Solid running back who understands the position and his limitations. Slow, long speed with below average acceleration. Has solid agility. You see the speed, because his vision and that cut allows him. There was a lot more explosive runs than I would expect. The issue is that, there was one where he's got the whole left side of the field after a nice cut for open field against Penn State, and everyone from the right side of the field is just able to catch them and they tackle them at the one, where it's like every other running back in the class probably would have been a touchdown. Solid agility, solid contact balance, moves through weak tackles and stays grounded off his cuts. Not going to break tackles with guys wrapped up, but cuts really well. Fights to push the pile and keeps feet churning, but not a bully. Vision is great with patience to let plays develop. Influences linebackers and cuts off them once committed. Lateral cuts and vision allow him to avoid tackles for loss. Knows when to bounce and when to cut it up. Blocking lapses, doesn't square up. No receiving value. I mean, he has a combined 180 receiving yards over the last 3 years. So I like Kejon Owens. Who's your last guy, Grump?
That has to be the most interesting watch out of all of this. I want to check him out. My last guy is Robert Henry Jr. from UTSA. He is 308th on the consensus big board. That would make him an undrafted free agent, and that's about where I have him graded. 5'9", 196 pounds. I don't know if this is going to fit for what the Giants want to do, but it could be, right? I think that he reads the line of scrimmage very, very well. I think that he has a very fast jump cut to hop from gap to gap and to avoid backfield contact. The burst through the hole is good, and he follows his blockers pretty well. But the speed, like the overall speed, is just average. That short area quickness for like inside zone stuff or just making a guy miss in the backfield, his ability to hop gaps and stuff, that's really, really fast in that quick area. But there's no home run speed. And like when he gets to, like, people are going to catch him. I don't think he's going to run a 4.7 40 like your boy. But it's just something where the home run speed's not there. He's not afraid of contact, but he has very little strength to break tackles. And to me, this is the biggest weakness, is that at 5'9", 196 pounds, I thought that I was getting a sturdy guy that I was going to see with like a low center of gravity, and he goes down like just pretty easily. He can avoid contact pretty well, but pretty much when he's contacted, he's either going down or guys are glancing off of him. He's not really breaking tackles or running through anybody. And then as like a receiver, there's just no value whatsoever. He wasn't really used that way. The hands, they're all body catches. He gets all turned around. The routes are really bad. The blocking reps need some work, but they're not terrible. He just wasn't asked to be in passing downs a lot. He did have 1,000 yards rushing last year. So, I mean, like, there's definitely something. In Texas A&M alone, I think he had almost 200 yards on the ground. So there is some decent cut. He made a safety look like a fool in the open field with the jump cut. Like, there's definitely some burst and explosion to him. There's a reason to look for him. And I think a UDFA, that's like a total flyer. Why not? Right?
Who was the last University of Texas San Antonio UDFA for the Giants?
There was somebody, and I don't remember.
2019 linebacker. Josiah Toefa.
Oh, really?
He had made the initial 53, right? Those first 2 years of Gettleman as a guy who like watched the UDFAs, and that was when I was first starting, and so I just got overhyped on UDFAs. Gettleman was kind of great for my ego on that because I'm like, I think this guy can make the roster. Gettleman's like, yeah, Josiah Toefa does make the roster, Bobby. You didn't waste your time doing a UDFA podcast, and it kind of breathed life into our UDFA reviews. So, yeah, Josiah Toefa. So we'll be back on Friday with a defensive tackle preview. I'm really excited for that one. Different flavors of guys. Very, very likely that's the Giants pick at pick 37. If it's not at pick 37, then it's got to be added somewhere. So we're going to look at the guys in that range and then on day 3. So we appreciate you guys. We will see you in the next one. Until then, let's go Big Blue.